So when it comes to an Enneagram process for like a book release, when we get to point 7, which is presentation, here you go, everybody. This is the launch. This is the fixed period of the launch window, because if there's not a fixed period for the launch window, you don't know when to actually count your chickens. It's like, oh, we're still selling. It could still be selling. It could still. You need to have some type of a data window so you can close the launch and start mapping out how to do it better next time. And so when that, if it's hard for you, this is on the line of surrender. Someone, my projector friend, had asked a question last week that we got back to via text, but when you're on the line of surrender, and there's a difference with the Enneagram between points and lines. So points are like, okay, you are here. Lines is the journey. So a point is a milestone and a line is the journey. Even though you might be at point 6, the will of the event where the product goes to market, if you are on the line of surrender is going to take you to point 7, point 8, and finally accumulate at point 9, where the will and the surrender meet again, where your initial plan versus God's plan come into being. This is the note do. This is 0 and also 9. Everything starts and ends with do. So this is why an octave, even though an octave has 7 points, you count do twice. So that's why it's 8 and not 7. So all along the line of surrender, you're constantly having to surrender. And surrender means, like we talked about in Wheels last time, put aside your preferences, recognize what the universe is asking of you, and grow. This is what it means to surrender over and over again. Pure. People always want to know the quickest way to surrender. That's it right there. But all along the side of the line of surrender, we're putting aside our preferences. So it can be very hard for me at the presentation point to put aside my preferences. And what are my preferences? My preferences are my projected numbers for launch over launch. My book is going to sell this many copies. My workshop's going to do this many things. I have all of my little preferences for that. And a lot of times those are just standing in the way of God's actual plan for you. You're getting yourself all stressed out. And it's really easy to do this at point 7. So a little trick in the Enneagram, and coming up in the future, we'll have like an Enneagram 2.0. Right now, everybody's still mastering the basics and we get wonderful questions like these. But the point 7 connects to point 1. So point 7 here, I hope it's not reversed for you, but point 7 here connects back to point 1. Point 7, presentation. Point 1, intentions. Point 7 also connects to point 5, which is action. So point 5 is the point of most attention. You're the furthest away from God at point 5, so that's why it's extra hard for you. You're the furthest removed from helping do, the initial do. That's why it's so hard. It feels like you're doing everything by yourself to complete that launch list, to put it all together. And you're like, oh my God, things keep getting added to the list. It's never going to be done. It's never going to be done. It will be done, but it's you that's doing it. So that's why it feels so tricky there at point 5. So when you're stressing out at point 7, this is all in the Enneagram workshop, but when you're stressing out at point 7, there's 2 places you can look to find assistance. And these are the 2 lines. These are the 2 lines that connect you at point 7 to the other destination. So you have point 5 and point 1. So you're stressing out at point 7. You say, oh my God, are my numbers going to hit? First place we can look is go back at point 5. Did I do all my checklist? Did I do all my checklist? Did I make up the sales funnel? Did I create a clear launch window? Do I have all of my different sales triggers? Is my social media strategy pumping through the way that it's supposed to be? Have I done all my correct prep work? If you have done all your correct prep work at 5, you are good to go. Keep on moving forward. Ideally, you would have not gone to point 6 if you hadn't cleared point 5. Now, here's the thing. If you're at point 7, you can't go back to point 5 and say, oh, I just need to do one more thing. You passed that point already. So that becomes data that you're going to be using for next time. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to look back at all the hard work that you did. Hopefully you had an objective to-do list like we give you in Buck List. This is what needs to be done at point 5. And you relax because you say, look, my results are a gift from my efforts. I put in the work, I put in hella work, and now I'm going to enjoy the gift wave. So it just gives you a little bit of reinforcement there. Look, your results are a gift from your efforts. You put efforts in at 5, you brought them to the market at 6, now you're at point 7. You can lead the horse to water, you can't make it drink. An orange tree cannot produce oranges, all it can produce is flowers. It takes bees to make oranges. So there, it's very surrendered at 0.7. If we imagine 0.7 in the analogy of feeding the customer, if we put the plate down, imagine you go to a restaurant, you walk into the restaurant has been prepping all the way up till 0.5, but you walk into the restaurant at 0.6. You're that shock of the other, okay, now there's another person coming in that's going to eat this. You order your food at 0.6. The restaurant's prepared to receive it because they've done all this work from 0.0 to 0.5. But imagine if they put the plate down in front of you and the server stays right there going, do you like it? Like, it's, you're like, I can smell your nose. Like, leave, you gotta go. You can't sit there and like crowd out your customer trying to figure out if you're going to make your numbers or not. Are you going to tell your friends to come? Are you sure you're just one? Why are you alone at this table? Why you no eat appetizer? You have to... It doesn't work. So what you have to do at 0.7, you can go back and reflect on all the hard work that's been done. And that was always, I would go and eat at Nice Green Bow in the city all the time. I'd always go and eat by myself, and the Chinese lady would always be mad at me that I would just eat one thing and not drink and not have an appetizer. She always say, why you don't get appetizer every time? But when you're stuck at 0.7, you can also look at 0.1. So what is 0.1? 0.1 in the future, because we're going around the clock. You're not going back to 0.5. You're going forward to 0.1. You can't go back. You can only ever go forward. You never go backwards. You just get stuck at a spot. So we can't change anything about 0.5, but we can use it to give ourselves some reassurance. And then 0.1, intention again. So intention is, what are you doing next? So I was like kind of squirming about, oh my God, what do I do with Wheels Reinvented? And I'm just going to ask that my whole mind gets collected here, and that there's not a point of my brain over here that's like tripping out that people are going to call me a racist for saying, why you no eat appetizer. That's not my intention. A shit. I collect myself and be over here. May my whole mind be present for this conversation. Intentions are what counts. If your intention's not to offend anybody, then that's what it's going to be. People will say all kinds of shit about you, but apparently in life, you have to just keep moving on. But you can start tripping out, you know, oh my God, what is this? And then you start, I don't want that. That's personality. So I started mapping out the launch for my next book because I was getting like kind of depressed. I was freaking out at 0.7. Oh my God, are people going to like this? Is it going to do it? What does it say about me? What does it say about my legacy? Who am I? What do I do? And then I started getting really sad. Oh my God, oh, my parents hate me. And then I just had to get to work. So I gave myself, and authorship knows this, right at the beginning of this window, I gave myself the deadline of 1 month to complete my book proposal. And I did a little bit of research and stuff, but then I was negotiating on it. Am I going to self-publish? Am I going to go trad pub? I felt inside like I was going to go trad pub, but I had just done all this work on self-pub. And so I was like, oh, am I even allowed to do this? But I was getting all confused and kind of going back and forth on it. And then I met a literary agent by just divine circumstances. I know it's annoying when people say that, but basically I showed up on a call for Simon & Schuster from an author's Substack that I'm on. There was like 20 people on the call. They were all wearing glasses, like writer's glasses, like fashion glasses. And I was like there with my, you know, with Tyga, with Wiley, the whole thing. And I had known when I saw that invitation come up, I'm like, I'm just going to pitch Simon & Schuster directly. It was like an editor at Simon & Schuster. And I know that editors don't, I've hard pitched before. I literally showed up at Hay House with cheese straws, homemade cheese straws, the one food no one can say no to. Showed up at the office with hot, warm cheese straws. My mom, who's like the best in you can't get better at PR than my mom. My mom literally won a Congressional Medal of Honor for a fake charity because she's that charming. They literally just never looked into the charity that she was running. She won the same Congressional Medal of Honor. I can't say what it is because I don't want to give away her thing, but the same Congressional Medal of Honor that like football players and Mother Teresa have won. And my mom didn't even have a foundation to back it up. She's literally like just that likable. That's the Aquarius magic right there, you guys. Literally went to the White House and received pictures with the president and everything like that. And so it was Clinton, but crazy. So I went to Hay House and tried to storm the gates and get people to read my book proposal, I knew that even if you go straight to the editor, even if you go straight to the office, manuscripts only arrive through literary agents. And literary agents are like, you can't get somebody, hey, do you feel like being a literary agent today? They literally know everything about contracts and how to negotiate on your behalf. And they're important people to have. They get a cut of your paycheck in perpetuity. It's usually 15% of your the book royalties, but they do a lot for you for that. And I know people that have amazing relationships with their literary agents. You usually get literary agents through a process called querying. Querying, it sounds like a weird word, but the word querying. And basically you make your book proposal and you just send it to a bunch of people. Will you represent me? And it felt to me kind of like online dating, and business relationship is like hella relationship to me. So I didn't want to be with the wrong person. So I was like, I'm going to pitch Simon and Schuster, even though I know it's like not going to happen. So I get on this Zoom call that like, I'm not even, I wasn't even expecting to be on. And when it's question time, anytime there's Q&A on a Zoom call, I like literally go on the Zoom call. When I feel like things are wrapping up, I have my finger fucking hovering over the raise my hand button. And then bam, I'm like the first one. I ask my question. The second it's answered, I'm out of there. I don't care. So I get to the Simon and Schuster call. The lady's giving the little speech or whatever. And I ask the editor, because she has a cat, and I was like, hey, well, what's your cat's name? Because book people always have the best cat names. And she's like, it's Monkey. I was like, ooh. And so, but I pitched her cold. And she was just like, keep going, because it's not the right place for that. But in the chat, there was a literary agent, and she's like, yo, I'm like very interested in this manuscript. My boss is on this call. I'm very interested in this manuscript. Send it over. And so that was on the 4th of June. And so I had momentum, and I was like, I'll have this book proposal into you within 2 weeks, because I didn't want to miss the momentum. I didn't want her to forget who I was. I emailed her while I was on the call. Hi, this is me. Here's everything you need. My socials, my contact, my everything. Here's the book overview. Here's the book plot. Thank you to an Enneagram for storing all of this. The Enneagram is the master of all systems. So if you back something up onto an Enneagram, for example, your business strategy, for example, your book line, you never need to go to your spreadsheets to say what's coming next. And it's cooking in your mind. You have that pot on the stove. So everything gets added to that. As over the last few years, I've been saying, oh, cool, that influencer's husband, that's exactly the model I want for this character. Oh, this person I went down a wiki hole of, this is the model that I want for that character. So it's all been like sitting there. But I told her I would have the proposal to her in 2 weeks with 2 sample chapters. Homies, in 2 weeks, without missing my cleaning schedule, without missing sleep, only the last day I woke up at 4, without skipping a beat, without pushing all my kids onto my husband and saying, okay, you just have to deal with them because I'm writing right now, showing up for all of my tasks, showing up for all of my business, not skipping an audiobook recording, nothing. In 2 weeks, I put together a 30-page book proposal in light and dark versions, aesthetic, and wrote 50 pages or 25,000 words for the book proposal. And I got that shit in by noon on the 19th, homie, and not even at the last minute. So I'm very fucking proud of myself for making that happen. And because I needed it. I needed to stop saying, here, this is a good one, but I couldn't sit around for so long saying like, how is this going to get done? How am I going to do this book with 3 kids? How am I going to teach with 3 kids? How am I going to make this happen? How? I've never fucking known how I'm doing any of this. And sitting around saying, how is it going to happen? It's going to happen. If I give myself a deadline, it's going to happen, because I respect deadlines. If I don't give myself a deadline, then it's not going to happen. But if I say it's going to happen by this date, then it doesn't matter how. I'll write every time I'm on the toilet. I'll write every time. I'll write walking. I'll write running. I'll write holding my baby. I'll write going to sleep. I'll write at 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, it will get done. But at some point, I have to just stop sitting around going, how? And stop asking other people, how am I going to do this? Because no one says, here's how. And it wouldn't even matter if they did, because their how is not going to be your how. But they'll just be like, oh yeah, that's a lot. I don't know how you're going to do it either. And it's like pointless. Like, fuck the how, just do it. Just show up for the next step. Words go on the page. And Dostoevsky, no, it was Nietzsche. He said that with a strong enough why, you can bear any how. So why, like, I wanted to change my life. I wanted to change my life. I wanted to move into the being of an author, and I wanted to do it with 3 kids, and I wanted to do it now. And like in 2 weeks, everything changed. And I'm so fucking stoked about it. But I literally would not have been able to do this if I was on social media. So I'm just going to pause and talk about social media for one little second, because my team has been running. Thank you so much to Pure, and thank you so much to Saraswati for helping me offload my social media onto them, especially Instagram, which is the platform that I spend the most of my time. I had 2 weeks off of it before I started to have the bandwidth for actually getting these things done. Like within the space, there's clarity. But I'm now realizing the same way where like after a long time, after a month or so of stopping drinking, getting good sleep, making good on your promises to yourself, there's increased clarity. I didn't realize until literally just a few days ago, I was singing a song with my daughter on live stream, because I love showing up for Gross Mom. You guys know, right? Like I show up with my daughter, and I'm singing Shania Twain with her, and we're just partying. But while I'm singing with her, I see a comment come up, and the comment says, "I would clap for this, but then I saw your daughter's rotten ass teeth," shaking my head. And homie, like this, I don't want to say that it hurt my feelings or made me question reality, but it fucking stabbed me. Like it stabbed me. And I wasn't like, oh my God, who's the stabber? But I was like, ouch, that really fucking hurt. Homie, every day since then, I've thought about this comment, and I've had to be like, okay, it's okay. Compassion, like don't respond to that. But I have been, and I don't need the internet to be a kind place. I'm not wondering what kind of person does this. I know what kind of person does this. Some mom, bullies. But that impacted me. My mind went to this comment at least 4 times a day. At least 4 times a day. And someone here says, why are your kids' teeth rotten then? They're not. But my kids have a genetic condition that was very hard on me. And I'm not going to indulge any more of your disrespect. You can go look it up if you actually care. Or you can leave right now, because it's only going to get worse. So it really hurt my feelings. 4 days. I thought about it multiple times a day and had to be like, all right, off. Hard. That's my baby girl right there, Thank God my kids don't go to public school. And thank God my kids aren't on the internet. Very painful. So the problem with all of that, let me just do this. Remove. You're in timeout forever. Great. So this is something that I've taken in probably 10 to 15 mean comments a day, every day for the last, 10 years. And if every single one of these was creating an impact for me, ouch. So what I'm realizing now, and look, I did my own social media for a long time. I did my own social media for a very, very long time. Now I'm going to be focusing on YouTube for a little bit. And Instagram, I'm always around. I make stuff that's for Instagram, but my team is handling the posting. But I remember after I stopped drinking, I was meditating one time, and I was able to see that the impacts of drinking lasted for 4 days with me. So for 4 days, the quality of my writing would go down, and it would take me 4 days to become confident in my writing again. When I drink, I'm not very confident about my writing. And same with smoking weed. So I have to go back to the same passage over and over again. And I kind of end up working it to death, and it just sucks. It's so overworked that it's not flowy. It doesn't sound like my voice. It sounds like, what AI would sound like now. But I'm realizing that every single one of these comments has gone somewhere and has done something and has actually caused me pain. And I didn't realize until recently that my mental health is so much better, because I didn't realize that it took so much work every day to take all of these bullets and push them out of my system. just in time for a fresh round to come in and a fresh round to come in. And I'm pointing this out because I yesterday read a blog post from Nara Smith. Nara Aziza has a Substack called the Paper Pantry. And she was writing about finding out that she was pregnant with the fourth child and how much stress and anxiety she was having because of how it would be received on social media. And this is somebody that I've heard multiple times say, I just don't read the comments. I just don't read the comments. I just don't read the comments. And I've heard actually so many celebrities say, I just don't read the comments. The only celebrity I feel like who actually really doesn't read the comments is Joe Rogan. And I think Joe Rogan talks so much that he's just used to everything being chopped and snipped and taken out of context that I really can. I've heard him talk multiple times to other people saying like, just don't do it. Not even one little bit. But so many celebrities do it. And it's like, it's very much weighing on people. And so it's just something that I'm noticing right now. Like, I don't need the internet to be kind. I don't need anyone to change anything about themselves. I don't need people to understand me. I don't care what people think about me when I have this latitude, when I have this space. But when I'm on social media, like, I don't have that space. So I'm going to just urge you guys right now, wherever you are. I know that delegating social is not an option and is also not even encouraged for people who are early in business. Like, you want to know your audience and all of that. But if somebody has a serious question for you, it's not going to be in the comments. And at some point, you're going to need to learn to not read the comments. I don't know where that moment is for you now, but I would start using question stickers if you want to know specific things from people. But I would start trying your best to see if you can exist in a world of social media where you can delete the app regularly, and also where you don't engage with comments, because I'm only now realizing what a terrible, there were so many problems that were fucking huge for me in the last 5 years that I literally wouldn't have if I hadn't been digesting comments. I'm aware now that like these things were actually doing something this whole time. And I thought that I just needed to grow like a thicker skin. But to become the type of person that is not, I don't know, I think it's a lot easier to step out of a firing range than to put on a bulletproof vest every day. I want to stay like soft and open to the world. And I can't do that in Kevlar. So that's just something interesting that I was noticing. So I just want to thank my team for helping me so much. The Pure has been clipping these videos and putting them out. He handles posting for me. I literally text the copy and I text the video. Hey Pure, nod your head yes or no. When we posted that free birth video to TikTok and YouTube, did we add music or no? Oh, wonderful. Okay, good. I didn't even have to tell you. Great. Some of the best titles for things. That one that you just put up that said when you're homeschool flavored, I love. I would never even think of that. So yeah, but this is the world of the heart chakra. Like the heart chakra says, when the whole world is trying to make you hard, can you stay soft? Can you stay soft? So when somebody says something that is so mean to me, and so much I want to put black magic on this lady, because black magic just works every time. It's so nice to make somebody like genuinely afraid of you when they fuck with you. It's so nice. Black magic's so easy to do. It comes very naturally for me because it's in the passive space, but it has to stay passive. It has to stay passive. So passive black magic looks like it comes up in conversation. If you don't get this workshop right now, it's not going to be available. Active black magic looks like, if you don't buy this book, you're never going to get over your shit. And I'm going to come, if I ever need to find you, like a quadriplegic, you'll be exactly where I left you. You know, my daughter tells me today, hey mom, if I didn't have any legs, I could do the splits. I said, we're going to be grateful today. We're going to be grateful for our legs today. So that's what's going on. Now I've drifted off again to say, what are people going to say because I said a joke about being quadriplegic? To my quadriplegic followers, sorry. It's no joke. But you know what? I was just on a call with this medium friend of mine, and she was always like correcting herself as well. And she was like, I need to stop correcting myself. And I also need to stop correcting myself. But I've had so much more as a result of not doing these little tasks, like getting distracted on social media. I banged out a book proposal. I'm scaling my business in a way. The realizations that I've needed to have are coming through. Oh yeah, but when the whole world is trying to make you hard, can you stay soft? So if somebody says something to me that just hurts, I don't have to say like, oh, fuck, put the black magic on her. All I can do, the best response would just be to say like, ouch, like that really hurts. That really hurts my feelings. That actually really hurt. Ouch. And a lot of people want to start like social justice movements from a place of anger and from a place of like, this is the karma that you can expect. But really the only thing that ever motivates people to change is sadness, because we don't all have the same anger, but we do all have the same sadness. Sadness is objective. Pain is objective. We're all going to be able to touch in on that. Anger is the subjective ways in which people deal with sadness. So sadness is objective. You can teach anyone through connecting the sadness. But anger is subjective, and it's how people are dealing with being sad. So it's missing the point. No amount of protests are just a way of saying like, I do not consent to this. I'm mad about this, but it never actually changes anything. And you guys know that this is true. It's never actually changed anything. It's just a way, and it's cool. And the propaganda divisions of other countries are like, yes, every time there's a riot, they're like, it's working. And America does this plenty. They're like Honduras. But it never actually changes anything. So if you actually want to create change, you have to be able to speak from a place of sadness. And I know that there's a time for Malcolm X and there's a time for Martin Luther King Jr., but Martin Luther King Jr. touched so many more people because he spoke from a message of sadness. And anybody can relate to that. And they say, oh, wow, I get it. It stirs something that most people can't directly access. Anger is very superficial and it always runs out. It's like a raging bonfire that eventually needs to be put out, or you'll just be consumed by it. We all know people that are consumed by anger. They eventually just push literally everyone away. That anger starts to get misfired at the people closest to them. And before they know it, they've literally become that person. Like they've literally become that person. You know who's a good example of this person? Jordan Peterson is like so fueled by hatred right now. Like, man, the last time I looked at his Twitter, he had written some poem, like just completely like ripping this person to shreds, calling them like a maggot and like just like, oh man, so fucking pissed and just beaten down by the comment section for so long. His children beaten down by the comment section. Like, I get it. And Joe Rogan's always telling him, dude, don't read the comments. But yeah. So someone had a question here. How does active or passive black magic work if black magic can't work over someone's free will? Does it rely on the weakness of somebody's will? In a way, yes. So the simplest way to categorize this, and you can always watch our free masterclass on black, white, and red magic. And we go the deepest into the concepts of black, white, and red magic in our workshop, the Enneagram. And we touch on it in Complete Guide to, in Erotic Wealth. But the mechanics of it are mainly in the Enneagram workshop, which enrolls at the end of the year. And so the easiest way is that with faith, with white magic, according to your faith, be it unto you. So if you could believe that you can heal your body, you can heal your body. Damn, believe. So if you believe that you can heal your body, you can heal your body. Incomplete, but necessary. That's the line of will. According to your faith, be it unto you. Please remember that it's a line and not a point. It's not do, it's a whole line. It's do, re, and me. That's covered by the line of will. Now, black magic is according to your fear, be it unto you. So if you have this bit of like insecurity, me, for example, my daughter is going to be bullied about her teeth, then it'll land. Like, I know that I'm not to blame for my children's genetic condition, but I have it, but now it's extending to someone beyond me. My daughter very much wants to perform and sing and dance. And I'm like, oh my God, people are going to bully her. According to your fear, be it unto you, and then it lands. So it's so easy to plant a fear in somebody's head. Almost all of us have had this done to us. Oh, it's going to be hard for you to have kids. Oh, you're probably dyslexic. Oh, you might be bipolar. Oh, you know what? Somebody whose face is swollen there has a thyroid issue. It's going to be really hard for you to lose weight. It's so easy to just drop, or cheese. And black magicians, So here's the thing, black magic is very low hanging fruit because most people that go to psychics and magicians are there for black magic. Can you make him love me? Can you make sure this person's not, can you make me rich? Can you make this job opportunity go well? And it's such low hanging fruit. People will literally pay any amount of money, and you give them a potato and say, oh, put this in water, and as the roots grow, their love will grow, or whatever fucking shit. They pay you like $200 for it, but they're so obsessed with it that they think it's working. Every little thing, they're like, oh my God, I saw that he watched one of my stories, but not the other 5. It's working. And then the potato dies, and you're like, I love. But it's so, it's like the lowest hanging fruit. And honestly, so respect the hustle. So many magicians stay in business from selling black magic spells. And that's just somebody dumb enough to think that they can override someone's free will and make them love you. And none of that magic is ever working. You're just manufacturing it. You're looking so hard for something that you're starting to see it. But it's so easy to it's so easy to plant black magic in someone. I literally had a dream last night that I was at Six Flags with my family, and I had a special backstage pass for Six Flags or whatever, and the lady wasn't going to let us in. She was like, you have to have your whole party here. And in my dream, I was like, I'm just going to put a little bit of black magic on you. No, I won't. No, I won't. In my dream, I was conflicted about it. I haven't ever had a dream like this before, but it's no, I'm not. I turned in my wands in 2022, done. Literally, I hit a rock bottom with black magic after tormenting this woman who, to be fair, I was confronting somebody who had told everybody I was lying when his guru tried to rape me. And she said, and I was like, yo, that was fucked up. And she kicked me out. And I was like, bitch, haven't you been raped? Why the fuck are you telling me that I gotta go? This fucking guy is perpetuating it. This guy's keeping, his name's Peppy, by the way, in Austin. If Farmer Peppy asks you to go sweat at his sweat lodge, don't do it, because that same guy that has Uncle Rick, that has a track record of groping and abusing women there, is still in business and still doing it. And so I was very fucking mad at this lady. And so I was like, well, fine. You kicked me out of the gym that I was at. I'm gonna make you fucking scared of me. And she was fucking scared. And it feels so good. You're like, yes. Who's a fucking bitch now, huh? It feels so good. It's so addictive. It's so tantalizing. Never worth it. So when that was my rock bottom with black magic. When I turned in my wands, it was forever. So when you're talking about surrender and sacrifice and what it is that you have to give up to get real magic, it is the ability to manipulate and control like a magician. So that's how black magic works according to your fear, be it unto you. And then the black magic line runs on mi, fa, sol. So it's all of these along the bottom. You have 2, and it's where, remember, we set up 0.5, you're the furthest away from God. So that's why it's so hard. Now, the red magic line is not my will, but thine be done. So your plan is in the way of God's plan. All along the line of surrender, there's what you want and then what it is that you're going to get. And you're going to be grateful eventually. So you learn how to say thank you in advance, whatever comes your way. You're like, thank you. This has my name on it. All things are gift. Ashe. Thank you very much. But that represents the end of your magical process. So it's really not about just knowing the difference between black, white, and red magic, but also keeping things in their correct placement. I could talk about this all day, every day. And there's always some hoe in the comments, some fucking, what about green magic? No. We're talking very simple alchemical terms. There's always some activists. These are racist terms. Girl, calm down. I've never actually heard a person of color say this. It's alchemical terms. Albedo, rubedo, negredo, citrinitas, gold at the end. So this is always the thing. Someone says, I'm in this place. I'm in a battle with someone who's using black magic on me, and I'm so tempted to black magic back and not wanting to. It literally, if you say, I have no real estate for this. I have no real estate for this. That shit doesn't work on me. I know how that shit doesn't work on me. And if you want to know specifically how black magic works, the book, Pure will post this as a book rec and tag book talk. if you want to know how to protect yourself from black magic, the best way to do it is to know how it works. So the first one is the book The True Believer by Eric Hoffer. This teaches you how black magic is used in society all day, every day. Honorable mention, Century of the Self, the BBC documentary about the origins of PR, descended from Freud, by the way. We've talked about this before. The Nature of Mass Movements is this book, The True Believer. And propaganda is the most widespread way that we see black magic being used today. According to your fear, be it unto you. So QAnon is like, oh, look, this election is coinciding with the end times that the Bible talks about. And people go, oh my God, I have so much real estate for that. And it takes off. If you are scared of it, you need to admit that you're scared of it, because no amount of like knowing how it works is going to help you to get over that if you're like scared of it. So if you really feel like someone's put a demon or a hex on you, you're just going to have to fight fire with fire. You can buy the book Psychic Defense by Dion, but honestly, it's going to make you a little bit more scared. Ultimately, no one can override your free will. You can also just go see like any Yoruba priestess, ask around, any botanica, look for just look up online, where do I buy agua de sandalo near me? Where do I buy Florida water near me? The witch stuff. Where do I buy novena candles near me? And you'll find your way to some botanica and ask for a Yoruba priestess. I highly recommend Ifa if you can, of the different lineages. And they'll do some fucking ritual on you. You know, they'll have you go and collect a bunch of ingredients. And every time you collect an ingredient, you'll say, oh my God, I'm really, detoxing this demon out of my life. And it's just in your head. But doing all of that ritual, the more complicated it is, the more you feel like it's actually working. And you go and you get there, and then they do a special thing, and they cut the head off of a chicken, and they shake its blood over you, and then they soak your little, protection necklace in the blood, and then they put it on your head and a wet turban on you and bop you on the head, and you're like, oh, I'm cured. And so you can always go about that way, but it's a lot more useful to not have real estate for black magic, and to do this in advance is better than trying, you don't want to bring a fart to a shit show. Don't try and learn to fight in the middle of a fight. It's much better to kind of understand how these things work before you find yourself in a situation where like someone's hexing you. But the book Psychic Self-Defense by Dion is also good, but it kind of indulges all of that, because she's saying, these are the ways I've been tormented. And you say, oh my God, these are the ways I've been tormented. But it does give you practical know-how, and Dion is very cool. But you want to keep these things in their correct place, because nature doesn't discard anything. Everything is useful for something. It's just figuring out where it's useful. So in mesoteric teachings and in second level teachings, where there is no good, bad, there is no right, wrong, everything is useful for something. So for example, I say, okay, I never want my kids to play Minecraft again. This would be dualistic. It's all or nothing. In the world of oneness, we say, okay, Minecraft is really good for something specific. What is it really good for? It's really good for keeping the kids entertained if they haven't had it in a long time. Therefore, when dad wants to go to jujitsu, he can bring these games and the kids can play them while he's at jujitsu, and everything will be sacy-doocy. So everything is useful in some way. My mom confessed that she sacrificed a chicken because a curandero in Miami told her to. Yeah, dude, but that's like the most humane chicken sacrifice I've ever seen. This might be a fun one. The most humane chicken sacrifice I've ever seen was from the Ifa priestess. She did this really cool thing where she just, talked to the chicken, and then puts its head down on the ground, and then puts the arch of her foot over its neck, so chicken neck here, and is pinning it to the ground. And then she just twisted the body until it came off. Now you guys say, oh my God, how could this possibly be humane in this 40-minute intro? Well, I've also been to a lot of conscious communities and farms where they were trying to, raise livestock for the first time. And it is much better to have a curandera or huesera do this for you than to be one of these back to the land hack jobbers trying to fucking kill a chicken for their first time. Horrifying, dude, literally. So let's go into some questions here. I'll answer one more here while Saraswati gets them up. Do you think it's best to heal out loud? I'm going to let my actions speak louder than words here, my friend. I'm going to let 10 years of airing my dirty laundry on social media speak for me here. Last question. What's your opinion on people throwing around terms like spiritual psychosis? And do you really need to spell your way out of it, or is it just bullshit? I mean, spiritual psychosis, This is a good one, Pure. I'm going to read this question again, so it's an easy clip. What's your opinion on people throwing around terms like spiritual psychosis, and do you really need to spell your way out of it, or is it just bullshit? So this quote from Joseph Campbell is all you need. The psychotic drowns in the same waters in which the mystic swims with delight. So the same psychotic waters, if somebody identifies as psychotic, they will literally be drowning in the same conditions that a mystic says, this is it, I've awakened. So it looks the same. It's how you identify that will determine if you have a good time in it or not. The psychotic drowns in the waters in which the mystic swims with delight. It's the same thing. Are you bipolar or waking up? That is a choice that you make. But let me tell you something. When you are going through this stage, get far the fuck away from people who are attached to clinical diagnoses. Don't take a lot of calls with your parents, especially if you've been on meds before. Your self-concept is not informed by you alone. Your self-concept is also informed by the things that other people say about you. People saying, I think you're bipolar. I think you're sick. I think you might be in psychosis. I think even when Instagram pops up and says, there's some people that are concerned about you, all of this stuff informs your self-concept. So it's very important that you get yourself away from the psychotics and in with the mystics. It could be the difference of going to the psych ward and staying in the psych ward or not. All right, let's do some questions, shall we? Hi, everybody. So nice to see you. Okay.
I've had some realizations that knocked me down lately. How do I cope with the fact that the human race has managed to pollute, ruin entire ecosystems, almost destroy the world? I feel like we are a plague on this beautiful world, and I don't know how to feel about all of it.
You're talking like a fucking Columbine shooter, by the way. Just so you know, the diaries of those guys that shot up Columbine were talking this way. So let's first of all recognize that this is highly problematic thinking. Second of all, let's just bring in the work of Byron Katie, quick. Is it true that we are a plague on the planet? Is it true that the human race is polluting everything? Is it true? When was the last time you've been out of the city? People that are like so fucking freaked out about nature is dying are usually always living in cities and have not gone out and touched grass. Nature always wins. Nature always wins, period. 3.5 million year lifespan of organic life on Earth before it resets. We haven't been to the bottom of the ocean, homie. We can't dig too far into the Earth because it's too fucking hot. You are a very small happening on a very big planet. Meaningful, yes, I'm sure. But have you ever been to the jungle? Have you ever tried to pull up Japanese knotweed, an invasive species, from your backyard? By the time I got halfway through my backyard, it was growing up a foot high behind me. Nature always wins. Nature always wins. Nature always wins. So here we just are going to do the work of Byron Katie on this. Is it true? So is it true? Can you absolutely know it's true? And this is just for the persistent, the people who are very attached to the brand of suffering that they're attached to. Well, it's not true, say the air signs, because they don't want to give you a hard answer. Well, it's not true. No, is it true? Can you absolutely know that it's true? If the first one is not a no, the second one's going to be a no. Because if it feels bad, it's not true. That's your body trying to reject something that's not true. So no, it's not true. How do you feel when you believe that thought? You feel like fucking Dylan Klebold, to be honest, homie. You feel like humans are a cancer on the earth, including you. Feel pretty fucking psychotic, but answer for yourself. How do you feel when you believe this thought? Who would you be without this thought? Who would you be without this thought? If you never had this thought again, you would not be having a fucking mental breakdown every time you see a can on the street. You want something that'll really give you a mental breakdown? If you ever read the directions on the side of a pack of diapers, disposable diapers, apparently when your kid shits in a diaper, you're supposed to rinse the disposable diaper out and then throw it away. So just so you know, I could not tell you one person that's ever read the directions on a diaper or has ever washed a disposable diaper and threw it away like that. That's what cloth diapers are for. So now turn the thought around. So what would the opposite of this thought be? We want to look at specific words. So I believe that like humans are polluting the earth. Let's turn this thought around. So the most dramatic one would be, I believe the earth is polluting humans. Now, what are three that, and that's just, crazy, but we're looking for that psychological Drano, to take out the thought and flip it around and be like, bah! The earth is polluting humans. How is the earth polluting humans? If you get down with the global warming philosophy, that could be it. Also, earth is a playing ground where we all come to earth on the terms of believing in duality, which is not true, but it's really there to just fuck with my daughter. I don't know. Listen. She's doing note matching on the piano downstairs. She's on high C right now. Beautiful. Oh my God. So cute, you guys. Oh my God, so cute. But Earth is a playing ground that kind of fucks with us. The one became two for the joy of returning to one. We wouldn't know what it is like to awaken if we didn't know what it would be to be asleep. Another way we could turn this song around is, okay, I believe that humans are a plague on the earth. I believe that humans are a healing balm on the earth. I believe that humans are healing the earth. I believe that earth is a plague on humans. Doesn't matter which one you choose, but turn it around completely. But just so you know, like, thinking this way is not getting you to the consciousness you think it might be getting you to, where you're like, yeah, like a bit more anger will save the planet. Literally in the diary of the Columbine shooters, they were like, humanity is a cancer on earth. And so that's that. Cool, let's go next.
That one was a little long of a voice recording, so it's uploading still.
Oh, no problem. Is that an annoying way to do it? It probably is. We're here to find the system. Now, the system that's working for me, I'm so excited to answer questions, especially when I don't know who's asking them to, because sometimes I'll be like, this fucking hoe again with this shit. It's way, it's way better when I don't know. How would you approach a friend that's gone into activist anger to psychotic? I could help her. This is codependency. So just don't. Just don't. She's got to figure it out for herself. She's got to figure it out for herself. When doing Byron Katie, and I'm already asking, can I be sure it's not true? I already feel bad in my body. Yeah, that's fine. But focus on the questions and don't get too deep into the soup of the feeling, because you're feeling anxious, and anxiety is a feeling that just transfers to the next, to the next, to the next. But no amount of your anxiety is a premonition that something's true. Imagination isn't real. Are you wearing clothes, my baby?
Yeah.
You sure? I'm good. Oh, my love. I heard you singing downstairs, my love. Ah, you're such a good singer.
And look.
Oh my God, it's sensational. Now this fit you 2 years ago and it still fits you now, which is so surprising. You want to see me sing my song on here?
Yeah.
Looking back at all the time we had together, I gotta know right now if you wanna be my lover, wanna be my lover, wanna be my lover.
That boy likes it.
That boy likes it. That's pure. He's gonna meet us he's gonna meet us in Saraswati. He's gonna meet us in Costa Rica. Wow, yeah, wanna be my lover. Wiley requested that song. We were singing that on our whole walk today. We even come up. So what Wiley and I are working on a lot right now with our dances is the feeling of a song and then the feeling of the dance. So what? Fashion, freeze. Fashion, freeze. Tell me, that song, Be My Lover, my love?
Yeah.
What feeling do you think that's like what like energy do you think that song has? Do you think it's creepy? Do you think it's like what?
I think it's like weird.
You think it's weird? Yeah, I think that that song kind of sounds like powerful to me,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. You want to sing with me or no?
Yeah.
All right, send it. 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah.
Be my lover, yeah. Lover, yeah.
Wanna be my
lover,
yeah. Wanna be my lover. Woo! La da La da da dee da 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 da. La da da dee da, la da 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 dee da, la da dee da 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 da. Yes, you guys. She's got the power, right? She's got the power. Can I get a round of applause for Wiley? Look at everyone clapping for you. Yes. I love it. Okay, I gotta go back to work. Saraswati's gonna ask me another question.
Okay.
Okay.
Does Mesoterica cover all 48 laws? I have a list of 5 so far that you've mentioned. It is so fun looking for Easter eggs in your content.
So the thing with fourth way, and this is a really common question that people have, is what are the 48 laws? Pure, let's make sure that people get this this week. People always want to know what the 48 laws are because we're on this very like binging content attitude. And I totally get it. The Bear season 2 is, or whatever season 1 is coming out. I'm going to watch every single episode. But the thing about this, look at my creepy husband sitting in the back. Hello. The thing about this is that if you even understand one law, it'll change your life. Like if you even just contemplate the law of 3, it'll change your life. No more conflict with the law of 3. You do not experience conflict anymore. You understand the law of 7. You never feel like you're getting punished and you achieve everything that you set out to do. So knowing the laws versus understanding laws are so different. And in the fourth way, you have to earn them. You have to earn it law by law. But if you want to fuck around and find out, you can get the book Don't Just Sit There by Biet Simkin. That is 44 laws. She cut 4 out. So that can also, it's not just what's being said, but it's how it's being said. If you believe that 4 laws can be cut out of a 48 law structure that we live on earth. But I love it because you'll never get all of it. But you can read that book, but watch, you're going to be done with it in a week and you're going to remember none of it. It's not going to change your life. And then, it's the worst part is you walk around saying, oh, well, I know the 48 laws. No, you don't. Or maybe you do. But it's rote memory. You don't understand it. It hasn't changed your being at all. So traditionally in fourth way, you really have to earn law by law. Can you get a list of the books mentioned today in an email? Bitch, do I work for you? Yes, I do. Maybe we can. Maybe we can get you those books. What did we go over today? True Believer by Eric Hoffer. Psychic Self-Defense by Dion Fortune. Century of the Self BBC documentary. Don't Just Sit There by Biet Simkin. These are the books that we've covered today. What book do I recommend by Gurdjieff or Ouspensky? Ouspensky, In Search of the Miraculous. And I'm going to recommend In Search of the Miraculous by Ouspensky because you need to learn with story first. You can't go into the objective. You have to learn with story first. So Ouspensky, In Search of the Miraculous is Ouspensky's experience of Gurdjieff. And then for Gurdjieff, all you can eat of his is Meetings with Remarkable Men, which is his story of growing up. There's also a movie of that you can watch. That memory, though.
Excuse me, Mom.
See me on what?
Okay.
Tell them that there's
Ready?
an electronic movie.
Would you like to
Can
tell
you-
them about that?
Yeah.
Okay, come in. You can let them
There's
know.
an electronic movie.
There's an animatronics movie, and animatronics is a little scary, but they do have the best songs. You know who literally has the best songs though, Wiley? The old Sonic cartoons. They're such hits. I'm telling you, fucking bomb songs. And I like Sonic because it's like workout music, kind of. Do you want to sit on my lap while we answer some questions with your book?
Well, the electronics is the best music. Duh.
Duh. Okay, she's gonna ask me a question. Okay, let's do it.
Can you shine light on the eroticism of marketing for both faceless and non-faceless brands and how that flows through the enneagram?
No, because we're not going to connect that earmuffs teaching with, we're not going to connect that teaching with the enneagram because it's just different. But the concept of something, so that word that derives from eros, I just don't want her saying it yet. That word that derives from eros means new and the desire for more. So when somebody doesn't see your face, but they hear your voice and they see your hands and they're trying to put together a composite image mentally, they can't stop thinking about you. They're wondering what it is that you look like. And the longer they wait, the hotter you get in their mind. Like the hotter you get in their mind, simply because it's more pleasing that way. They're like, oh, I bet she's got a fabulous nose. I bet she looks this way. I bet I bet she's a he. You know, it's like you just can't resist filling in the blanks. And so a lot of people are here to be observed, but a lot of people are here to be observers. And if you want to know what this is like for you, just follow some faceless brands. Yes, my love.
You see yourself when you're talking.
It's my ideal configuration. I can look at myself quite a bit. You and I are both here to be observed, but Daddy and Reiner are observers and they don't love to be on camera, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Chef love, chef love. Chef love, chef love. Okay.
Mom, let's do that self-love again.
It's the shuffle of love. Shuffle love, shuffle love, love. Shuffle love, shuffle love, love. Ready?
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah, just keep sending.
Okay.
Are you uploading voice notes?
Yeah.
It's too long.
Okay.
Let's just rapid
Next
fire
one
this.
is, I'm right? Okay, cool. I'll give them timestamps. How do you collect all the info from books or podcasts? What I mean is I take notes, but later on I want to write or talk about something and I haven't written it down in my notes and it's time consuming. How do I organize the info for easy access?
Can you see what their human design is?
Manny Jen 6'2".
Okay, so because you're a manifesting generator and here to respond, any one of these prompts should be enough for you to immediately remember what it is that you want to say. But what you're trying to do is say things that aren't really yours to say. So you're like, oh, people would like this, but it's not actually coming from you. It's not your story. It's not something you're passionate about or excited about. It's just something that you think like could sell or could do well. And you're trying to repeat something most likely in a voice that isn't even your own. So literally, you know, if it's something that you want to talk about or do a reel about, one little prompt or one, and if you really want to make sure you get it, you can try and formulate it into a question. So for example, what's your favorite book on being seductive or whatever? What's your favorite book? Art of Seduction by Robert Greene. Right. And that's not really my favorite book, but that's not really my favorite book. And it's a very fun audiobook to read as well. But putting it in question form so that's easy for you to respond to. But honestly, the reason why it's clunky for you is because you're trying to say what you feel you should be saying and not what you actually want to say. So especially for a manifesting generator who is so responsive, it shouldn't be an issue for you. If you're a projector or a manifester and you're like, or a reflector and you're like, why am I not remembering to talk about what it is that I want to talk about? Just make like a little map for yourself of what it is that you want to cover, but also be spacious because you're really here to inform and give us the pieces that we don't have. And so what you want to do is make sure that, you know, you're not trying to cram a whole enneagram of content into one reel. Give yourself 2.5 hours for that masterclass. Give yourself just one talking point for the reel. Cool. Do I have an open head center? Yes, I do. Okay.
I was able to go back to a lot of core feelings of shame, but I still feel a lot of self-loathing coming up that I think is triggered by shame. Is this a later chakra that I can clear, or does this stick around? And if shame and self-loathing sticks around, how do I work with it?
So heart chakra, self-loathing is 1 second. When mama's talking, your eyes are open and your ears are open and your mouth is, and then it'll be your turn, okay? So that is self-hatred, self-anger. That's just heart chakra. But basically the self-loathing is feeling like you should be a way that you're not. And heart chakra is learning how to accept all sides of you for exactly what they are. Thank you. Did you have a question for me, my whitey girl?
Can you tie this?
Happily I can tie this. We're gonna be ready for Zoom Zoom, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna wear this until we go to Zoom Zoom. I'm gonna still wear it.
Okay. Okay. We have a little like off-brand water park about 45 minutes away from us. And we've been looking forward to going to it all the time. It's like just niche. off-brand. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I'm noticing core memories that come up during the process to be before actual trauma that happened for years where I thought that's what messed me up. The question is, unblocking these chakras can be connected to younger years, but does that mean that things that happen after have nothing to do with them being blocked, or we're just clearing things that started from the very beginning?
I got a complicated order here. I don't really understand the question, but if I am understanding this correctly, we have the original blockage and then the pattern unfolds as a repetition of that blockage. So yes. Now notice, just because I just have to go with what I'm tasting and not necessarily what's said, the human tendency to try and find something or someone to blame. There's nothing to blame. There's no one to blame. It just is. It has your name on it.
Hey, Wiley, I've got some flowers for you.
Rhina brought flowers for Wiley.
Come on. Thank you, Rhino. Okay, that's okay.
I love each and every one of you little dingleberries.
Wow, that was amazing. Okay, next is, are there any resources in Safe House to help with making lead magnets? This is someone who's in Wheels teacher training.
Literally all of Fuckless. Literally all of Fuckless. But here's the thing. Well, actually, no, because Fuckless is talking about the lead magnet and what should be in the lead magnet in relation to the sales funnel. But if somebody's in Wheels Reinvented and they're just kind of, because they don't have a passive income product yet. So in Fuckless, we talk about lead magnets and what they should be to connect with that product that you're selling. But when it comes to just putting the lead magnet out there, you have to rip the Band-Aid. You have to rip the Band-Aid. It's never going to be easy. Give yourself a deadline and stick to it. Like, give yourself a deadline and stick to it. Who fucking cares how hard it is? You have to rip the Band-Aid and get it done. Write that first draft. And then next call on Wheels, which is on Monday, we'll be talking about different structures for lead magnets, workshopping some titles and stuff like that. And that's what the whole call is going to be.
Awesome. Okay, next is, I'm a 3-5 generator, and after listening that I'm a 3-line in the Muladhara chakra, okay, because I know a lot of trauma was resolved. Is it okay to play around with both root chakras if you have a bit of a kink for instability? Maybe it's just my toxic mind.
Live your life, queen. Live your life, queen. Anytime someone asks, is it okay? Like, of course it's okay. But does it work for you or not? That's something that you're going to figure out, especially as a 3-line. So fuck around and find out.
Nice.
But it's always okay. It's always okay. So I used to like hang out with this guy, and we didn't have a sexual relationship at all. He was definitely trying. But he was very small and slight. And I was like in my like chunky era, and I'd stopped drinking and smoking weed. So all I had was like food. So I was processing grief, my chunky girl era. And I just didn't want to. So, I got him off me pretty fast by saying, I'm ready to be a mother. And he was like, oh. But every time I would go over to his house, because this was the terms of our relationship. Who's here for some mommy lore today? So we met this slight little wispy guy, but he was really cool. And he had a really cool story where he as a kid grew up in like this crazy abusive home. And he subscribed to this guitar magazine, and he wanted to be on the cover of this magazine. His guitar was like the only thing that he had in like bumfuck Texas. So he runs away from home when he's very young, is making it work in Austin, still has dreams of owning this guitar magazine. He starts working at a guitar pedal company. This guy was like seriously like 25 when I met him. Working at this guitar pedal company. The owner gets sick, needs to step down, ends up giving him the company because, after like 4 years, giving him the company. He's the successor. And now his products are on the cover of this guitar magazine, like almost every single month. So this guy was cool. And he was one of those spiritual people. He was always on Molly or something like that, but really like dreamy guy. I remember I went over to his house and he was like eating one kale leaf with olive oil on it. He was like, you've got to try this. I was like, no, kale leaf is meal. I just couldn't. But he would, so basically the premise of our relationship would, he'd hit me up at like 5 o'clock in the morning and say, hey, do you want to come over and smoke weed? I didn't have any money for weed, but he's like, I'll get you a fucking $30 Uber to and from my house. And he had this like fucking 7-foot zong, you know, fucking ice bong or whatever, but free weed. I was like, let's do it. But every time I would go over to his house, he would always put porn on. He'd put porn on, I'd be like, is this okay? And it's like, yeah, you know, or you know, he'd say the loaded shade statement, is this bad? And it's like, obviously a shame kink. He wants to hear, you're disgusting. Like, ugh. I probably looked like his mom. You're disgusting. How dare you? How dare you do this with me? But I was just like, I love it. I'm ready to be a mother. And he was like, oh. But I never hooked up with him because he was just, you know, too much smaller than I was at the time. But everything's okay. Nothing is bad. It's just you arguing with yourself in your head. But with time, as you start to advance on your spiritual practice and you start to remove the role of shame from your life, you learn that the real question is like, what do I truly want? There is no bad. There is no not allowed. So what do I truly want? And by any chance, am I mistaking the instant gratification of, you know, this shitty porn that I'm watching for the perpetual bliss of a relationship where I can really let my little freak flag fly and, you know, shoot up the clubs with my little semen. Okay.
Wait, we have 13 left.
Oh, fuck me. Okay. Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go.
Okay. I'm noticing a recurring pattern for all the jobs that I've occupied. I don't mind spending all day studying and teaching and doing the work, but don't ask me to film and edit for social media if I'm doing it according to my human design. I just don't like it. I can't afford for someone to do it.
Where's the question? Find the question mark and work backwards.
How can I make it easier to film and edit content?
Wonderful. How can you make it easier to film and edit content? You can use your human design. You can stop being precious about editing. What's their human design?
Gen.
You're a manifesting generator. It's not going to be Chanel. Go for volume, and however, it has to be easy. So don't forget, limitations create style. Maybe your style is it's one shot, one kill. Unedited, quick, and in the moment. Maybe you never film a second take. You just put a weird little limitation in for yourself. I never do a second take. It's in the moment when I'm pumped to do it or the end. I do not edit. This was me when I started my YouTube channel. I didn't want to edit videos, so I learned how to edit my mind. Most useful thing that I ever did. Onward.
When does Mesoterica actually start? I'm in Safe House and I want to make sure I can follow along with anything live.
There's nothing live on Mesoterica, so just start when you begin. Start whenever you can, but keep the pace. Ideally, my ideal pace is letting it take a long time and going slow, because you don't want to just like binge it and not actually learn. But we talk about that a lot in Mesoterica, and you can decide the pace. But we have a special that we're running right now where if you buy Mesoterica, you get School of Unified Spiritual Laws along with that, and that only lasts for a week. You're on SAFEHOUSE, so you have it all anyways, but just do it at your own pace. This is kind of our summer vacation right now before going into erotic wealth. So let it be easy for yourself. You've worked hard this year. Onward.
This one's about channeling after watching The Law of Octaves on the School of Unified Spiritual Laws. Right. I'm curious, if I'm not channeling from a deity, where is it coming from?
That's a great question. Where is it coming from? But that's a question for her. For her, because especially if you're channeling like entity or something like that, you don't want to be like, oh, well, mommy says it's Metatron. What if you stop vibing with Metatron? You're the one talking to it, so ask it who it is.
Okay, this next one.
Lucky number 11.
Is a how should I move forward question, moving through Safe House. So this feels like a question for the onboarding chat.
Great, well, I have her here. So what has she completed?
I did ritual, part of Fuckless, and now I'm almost done with wheels.
Okay.
I realize more and more I want to act and make music more than I want to do an online spiritual business.
Okay.
But I thought that a spiritual business would make me money so I can afford to pursue my art.
Well, here's the thing. You got to be all in on a spiritual business. This isn't something like maybe I'll be a flight attendant, maybe I'll be a spiritual teacher. Like, if you're here to be a spiritual teacher, that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. Like, you got to, it's the hardest job for real. You can't have any secrets. You can't have any secrets. You have to, it's like the most intense thing ever. So if you wanted to do a spiritual business because you thought it would make you money, like, well, that's the truth. Now, acting and making music, do you think that this will make you money, or do you need to have something on the side? So this sounds like an onboarding question, but what I'm going to have you do is like, what do you want? What do you want? How can we knock this out of the ballpark for you for the next 6 months? If you don't want to do online business anymore, then don't. It doesn't even have to be spiritual business, but if you want to do online business, you need a complete fuck list. If you want to do inner work, then do mesoterica, do your inner work and get out of here. If you don't want to do any more work, then don't do it. But you need to get fucking real. You need to take what you learned in ritual and literally apply it to like acting and making music. Because look, I'm going to be straight up with you. You want to act and make music? Yes, so does fucking everybody. But do you have the business tools? Do you have the chops? How are you going to support yourself while you're waiting for this to pop off? How much money can you make and how soon? What are your immediate and pending bills, and how do you plan on paying these? It seems like we're looking for, oh, I could make money like this. Like, it's not about what you start, it's about what you stick to. Somebody could start 1,500 diets, but the only thing that's going to make the number on the scale move is what they can stick to. So pick something you can live with and stick to it, and don't negotiate on it. That's the best advice that I have for you. But you know, you can always put down the business lessons. If you're like, I'm just going to eat some spiritual food and get, plenty of people are here just to do that. They're usually people that have accomplished businesses already. But if you're going to, you know, find out what kind of job you can live with to sustain yourself financially during this time, it takes 2 years for a business online to be profitable. No negotiating on that. So that should give you plenty. But the spiritual workshops, you can still do that you haven't done yet. Mesoterica, School of Unified Spiritual Laws. The enneagram, I think, would be too advanced if you're not actually going to use it for more things. I mean, you could, but and then also in Fuckless Express, if you want to be an artist, or a musician, or an actor, then you really should have a strong social media presence. Onward. And Fuckless Express for that, for real. The whole thing. Not what you started and said, it's hard.
Okay, mesoterica, 3 conscious shocks. Is the 3rd shock, the imitation of Christ, also a concept from the 4th way?
Yes.
Okay. A few weeks ago, you were talking about the energy of the maiden and the matron and the crone for women.
It's
and
the
I
maiden
tried
and the
reading
mother.
about what the...
It's the maiden and the mother, not the matron. The maiden, the mother, and the crone.
The maiden, the mother, and the crone.
Okay.
I tried reading about what the male version of this is. What is the male version of this called? Where can I learn about this?
When you heard me talking about this a couple weeks ago, I was like, I don't know what it's called. I think it's warrior stag sage, but ask ChatGPT. Let's see if ChatGPT knows this. Momenti. What is the male version of maiden, mother, crone? Let's see. Is youth, father, sage. Youth, father, sage. There you go. It's like warrior, stag, sage. I think stag is like a bachelor party. Youth, father, sage. There you go. And that would not be the same term as the esoteric title sage. I have been using, so ChatGPT helped me clear all of my typos in my book. And ChatGPT, when I have ChatGPT fix typos, ChatGPT always uses M dashes, which are like the double hyphens. And it's so obvious. And ChatGPT was constantly trying to rewrite my stuff. I was like, do not change one word. You may correct typos and you with no M dash, but nothing else. And it hallucinated a few times and was giving me this content that read, I was like, wow, beautiful sentences, but it didn't go anywhere. It was just like adjectives. And then I also used ChatGPT to describe to me what the drive from Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris looks like to Fontainebleau in France. But that was the only thing I used ChatGPT for. But it was very helpful with those typos. It cut down my editing process a lot. So thank you, ChatGPT. Oh, just want to say I love these live calls. When you give us feedback like this, we really take it seriously. So we remember comments like this that you took the time to stop and just say thank you for. And then next year when we're like, what do we want to keep? What do we want to throw away? We remember we got feedback that says they really love this. So thank you. Do you think so many people want to act and do music for external validation? No, I think that singing, dancing, and telling stories is something that used to be something that every single person did. And now so many people, even though there's celebrities that should be marking the way that says, look, you can do it too, that there's so many people that are just told it's never going to happen. So Wiley is very much somebody that has this performing gene. Sagittarius sun, Sag moon, Leo rising. Shore's orientation and human design, which is basically crowd and stage. But with her, we are fully preserving and saying, do it more, do it more. Because Taylor Swift's aren't born, they're made. Taylor Swift's family was like rich as fuck. And they just made sure she had everything. And Reiner was always like, I don't like your songs. But when I read her the Taylor Swift book that she picked out for herself, I'd never heard Taylor Swift, but our neighbor's a Swiftie. I always add a page in the book that says, and Taylor Swift's brother hated her songs, but she kept singing anyway, and that showed him. All right, onwards.
Okay. I'm getting the hang of the magnetic center. Cool. But if I ask somebody a question at 4 a.m., would that keep them up? I would assume if they aren't aware of their magnetic center, it would go unnoticed. But what about a living person who is aware?
You have completely misunderstood the concept of magnetic center, and it's not something that you control. It's something that you build through earnest seeking, but it's not something that you can touch. You can't be like, oh, I painted boobs on my magnetic center. You can't, and then, so you're misunderstanding it. It's good because this is the point, is to like wrangle with the work. And this is good. These are earnest questions. But then if you text somebody at 4 a.m., is it going to wake them up? I mean, it depends. This is really, no, because this is not a simple question. Do they have their notifications on? That's the truth.
Okay, what does the fourth way teach about how astrology affects us?
So the fourth way has a connection with astrology because the planets in our solar system represent the note Fa on the ray of creation. Pure, let's make sure that this week, those what are the 48 laws and where do they come from, go out one day and then the next, the following day, because I always like to add those ones. And they have the ray of creation on them. So, but this is the note Fa on the ray of creation, and Faust is short for fatum. So that means that the planets control our fate. Now there's two ways that the planets do this. It can be archetypal. So, people from Jupiter are prone to behaving in this way. And this is also connected with like what other esoteric schools get down with, that like, we call it star signs here, but it's like, what if Aries was representing, I'm not sure if Aries is ruled by Mars, but it sure fucking feels like it sometimes. But let's do Gemini and Mercury. These people are representing the planet Mercury. Their souls come from Mercury, and that's why they act in this way. And it doesn't matter, sidereal that's nonsense. Whatever, it's astronomy, but astronomy isn't astrology, it's different. So, there are these archetype ways where people that comes from certain planets act in this certain way. But then there's also the fact that like humans on Earth are here to translate planetary influences, to digest them and send them to the moon. So basically the moon wants to be Earth one day, the Earth wants to be planet one day, and planet wants to be the sun one day. Everything is trying to climb and ascend. Everything is reaching towards God at all moments, at all times, including humanity. And so the purpose of human life, because it's actually a shock between the note Mi, which is mixed disorbi on Earth, and Fa, which is fatum on planets. The purpose of human life, which is part of a greater structure called organic life on Earth, which has a 3.5 million year lifespan before it resets again. We have 600,000 years left of this lifespan before it. So, put down your rapture poncho. We've got some time. But the purpose of human life on Earth is to translate these emanations coming from the planets, to swallow them and digest them, and then send that to the moon so that the moon can grow. So, and there's actually a second moon that you don't know about that is circulating. Whichever one is bigger will survive. So far, it looks like the moon we see in the sky will survive. 2 rocks split off as a result of the Big Bang. We're not going to go into that, but you can read Beelzebub's Tales to his Son if you want to know more about that. But that's the whole function. So basically, when a planetary, let's say 2 planets move really close to each other like this, and the same way where like if somebody was walking really close next to you on the street, you'd be like, oh, you know, like getting small. Get away from me. Weird. That energy between the planets translates to like a war on Earth when it's riot season. This is humans as a collective interpreting a planetary influence, and all of that friction and all that tension, the results of that get sent to the moon. So you want to make sure if you're experiencing because the thing about fourth way, it's unified spiritual laws. So what works on the macrocosm also works as a microcosm. So when friction occurs between planets and it creates a surplus of energy that is then sent to build something new, when you're experiencing friction in your own landscape, so your inner world says, I want to smoke cigarettes, but I'm not going to do it. And your outer world is like, just give me the cigarette. In that friction, there's a surplus of energy. Now, what you have to do is pray. And how do you pray this? You know, I wish that the results of this struggle be for me, for my being, so that the results of this friction and this tension don't go to somebody else. How would this go to somebody else? You fucking run into somebody at a bar, you spill the beans that you really want to be done smoking cigarettes, and they have an awakening which says, ooh, you know what? I want to quit smoking cigarettes. But what happens to you? You cave and you go outside and smoke cigarettes. So you have to return the energy to you. So the kind of mantra used for this is that when you find yourself in that moment of tension with your mother-in-law or with, you know, giving up whatever it is that you're trying to give up, we should always be trying to give something up. That's why the Tantra philosophy has so many casualties. The only rule is no rules. And there's so many caveats there. But I wish that the results of this struggle be for myself and just using that in some way or another. I love that clip, by the way, Pure, if we can get it. It might be a 2-parter, you know, talking about planetary influences, but if we can get it concise, don't worry about the timing on it, because Instagram is telling me now, make those 3-minute videos. And so whatever they recommend is usually what'll get pushed. So 3 minutes of heaven with Mommy Onami. 3 minutes of hell, more like. Onward.
You said you have a resource for numb pussy. Could you direct me there?
It's really all going in my book, but what I would have you, this is a good one, Pure, but use the cat emoji instead of pussy. Now, there are 4 centers in the mind. There's your intellect, there's your feeling, there's your sensing, and there's your instincts. Your instincts govern digestion. Sensing is hearing, smelling, sniffing, you know, whatever, snorting. Feelings are emotions, and intellect is thinking. And in any sexual experience that you have, try and figure out what center you're in. If you have a history with eating disorders or sexual trauma, it can be hard for you to be in your sensing center at that time. So what happens is you're in the sack and you're thinking, oh my God, you know, what does my body look like? Or am I ever going to come like this? Or you're in your emotions and you're like, oh yeah, I'm so in love with you. What happens if you're going to leave me? You know, and all these just thoughts. But the sensing center is super psychedelic. And so if you were to focus, if in going into these different sexual experiences, you were like, I'm not going to try to like come to the finish line. I'm going to try and just experience what I'm sensing here. So if you're getting like, can you feel their fingerprints on the inner wall of your, if you are having penetrative sex, is it wild? Is it animalistic? Just try and sense, what am I feeling right now? Do I feel their beard on my neck? Who's fanning themselves now? Do I feel their beard on their, I'll tone this down for us. Do I feel their pee on my face? Whoops, that's turning it up. Do I, but try and, instead of being like, is this good or bad? And trying to categorize it as, am I moving closer to or further away from this? Just what am I sensing? Keep your eyes closed if you need to. Let it be visual for yourself, but don't try and make it about reaching the finish line or like being just feeling what, sensing, not feeling, sensing what you're sensing. And how much can you kind of train your attention to focus on just the sensation of something? Penetration, rubbing, breath, heat or cold, like that. That's a good place to start. Let's see how banned we get for that one, Pure. All right, how many do we have left? 7 in 3 minutes?
No, we only have 3.
All right, 1 minute speed round. Let's do it. I'm gonna put on my little timer. Let's play speed round. Pure, I'll have the audiobook in by the end of today. Thank you for your patience. This is the last chapter. Okay. Okay, hang on. Okay, on, go.
Oh, is the key to trusting in others from first trusting yourself and God? I have a difficult time trusting and worry.
Okay, so the key, you're taking a few incidents that happen and like extending them to the collective. So for example, your dad walked out on your mom and now you don't trust men in general. God did you dirty this one time and now you don't trust God in general. So what you want to do is just figure out who these key people are that are creating this narrative that you can't trust the whole collective and do a painkiller on them. We demonstrate doing a painkiller on God in the Sahasrara chapter of my Wheels Reinvented book, which is weirdly still available on Amazon. Saraswati will talk about that at the end of this call. And then, but it's always free, mommyonami.com/painkiller, and address it to that specific person so that the hurt from one doesn't become the anger towards all. Bam! Got it. This is fun.
Same person asks, what is your advice on blending these two chakras together and teaching it to the world? Or should I keep them separate for a lead magnet? She's a 500-hour yoga teacher and studio owner launching a business.
Yeah, so with the lower chakras, most people's problems are all going to be contained in the first 3, like they're real ass problems related to survival, getting more than enough, and just their general like mental state is going to be coming usually from root chakra, second chakra, or the solar plexus, or fear, shame, and anxiety, respectively. Most people will struggle a lot more with one than the other. So I actually, because these are such big problems, I really recommend giving them each their own space. And when people are trying to resolve guilt and shame, we call it reddish orange because they're always so close together, but really learning how to differentiate the one from the other is key. I would give them their own space, even if it's 3 separate workshops. Why do one when you can do a trilogy, right? Okay, 104. Okay, last one, you guys.
I have a hard time guarding my boundaries and only discover I've been crossed when it's too late. How do I not get angry at the others and solve this internally without hiding from the world? Which chakra is this?
This is so good. So it is second chakra. Boundaries are always the world of the second chakra. And we talk about this in the Svadhisthana module, but when somebody, this is so useful for people, Pure, when someone has crossed your boundaries and you know that the boundary needs to stay, but you're so fucking mad at them because you're like, I told you about this, I reminded you about this, what is going on here? And you're tempted to just be like, oh, fine, like I'll just do it because you're so mad that your boundary was overridden. First of all, you never know you've set a boundary unless somebody tests it and it holds. It has to be tested for you to know that the boundary is working. But level 1 boundaries are saying, you shall not pass, this is my sacred time, this is my sacred space, whatever. But the second level is preserving your mental state. So people like to think about this and not actually do it, but if you do it, you'll see a change. If you do it to the end, you'll see a change. Make 10 sentences